We are live.
Oh no.
Oh, yes. All right. Got it.
How's everybody tonight?
Doing good, man. How about you?
Pretty
That's
good.
nice to hear. It's a nice looking burger. Did you make that yourself there, Jeremy? Or did you bring it home?
Sorry, yeah, thanks.
Wait, somebody has a burger?
It was Wednesday,
So
so I
did you
decided
make
to
it
make myself.
yourself or did you
Yeah,
bring it home?
that was a
Yourself.
made myself one.
Nice. It was good looking.
Fries were too. Air fryers are fun. Oh, look, YouTube chat's all broke again.
Yeah, I know. Damn it.
Oh, thanks, Jordan.
Oh.
I need that kind of positive reinforcement in my life.
Yep. Yeah,
What is the
something went
temperature
wrong.
tonight? It's like 12 degrees.
Not much warmer here. Ah, we got up to 15.
14
It
degrees
was
is the official.
6 degrees last night at the lowest.
It's chilly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
I've
any
heard
of you out
Valheim
there,
is quite fun. Sorry.
nope, I was just going to say, if anybody's down in Texas, you're probably not watching us,
No.
but good luck.
Supposed to be in the 60s early next week for him, so that's going to be some interesting melt.
Mm.
Live on the tubes.
Fixing, fixing.
Okay. It's all the clicking.
I don't know.
Pop.
I fixed it.
Uh-huh.
Not the clicking. Different thing.
Okay, got actually show notes up. Which for some reason they weren't in my drive anymore.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know. Okay, I think we have everything we need. Oh yeah, the record button.
Yeah. Look at all those turtles.
Alright, we're recording. So what is today's date? The 17th?
Yep.
Correct.
It's Wednesday, February 17, 2021. It's PC Perspective. I'm Sebastian Peak.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm going to be Brett Van Sprumberg again.
And I'm back. You can't keep me down. Here I am again, Jim Tanis. Glad to be back with you guys.
Yes, see, it's not Alan is back, it's Jim is back. But hey, hold on to that thought for just a second. You can subscribe to be alerted when we go live for events like this podcast recording session by going to pcper.com/live or /subscribe. You can watch what we're doing at /live, and you can support us on Patreon. Become a patron of the arts at patreon.com/pcper. And what is our
Yes.
update on that, Brett?
Yes, indeed. I want to thank several new patron members. We have someone named Emo, not Elmo, not Emo, Emo. That's 2 M's. I don't know if you could tell. Thank you very much for throwing some dollars in the patron bucket for us. That keeps this whole crazy thing spinning around. And a welcome back to, I'm not sure if I should say this out loud. Maybe I'm saying something wrong, but Thor M. Wood. Someone could probably make something of that I might not get. Yeah, Thor M. Wood. And last week, I'm not sure if I caught this, maybe it's 2 weeks ago, when a older patron resubscribed, and they set their nickname to Alan is back, which I thought was really funny because you just mentioned it. Now Jim is back. Maybe we can get somebody else to subscribe.
Yeah.
Maybe Jim is back.
Yeah, it's just a gimmick.
Maybe.
That's why we do it. It's a shameless money grab, honestly.
Just like everything we do.
100%.
Yeah. If only it resulted in like all the money. I mean, that the first part of the plan is good. The latter part doesn't. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not
Well,
following.
it's not like we're unwilling. It's just we haven't figured out how to make the money part happen. Speaking of shamelessness, this is that time of the week where we immediately go to Laramie, Wyoming. I'm sure Josh
Oh, is it that time again?
fully prepared for this. Burger of the week.
You know, I've had this before, and it's a classic. It's the Hayfire, and starts out, of course, with 2 quarter-pound patties, fresh cut jalapenos, pepper relish, which is kind of interesting, and then topped off some pepper jack cheese, and finally chipotle mayo. Of course, the bun's a little smashed because, they wrap it up a little tight now. But it's still quite tasty, and the fries were not as plentiful as I usually get, but they're of course perfectly done. So I can't complain. It was a nice, juicy, hot mess. And well worth the time and money.
It looks it.
Born in the barn. Should
We
visit
know
someday.
you are, Josh, but how was the burger?
Oh yeah.
Juicy hot mess.
And worth
Yes.
the money.
Worth the money, worth
With-
every cent.
Slightly squashed buns.
Josh, I had a Five Guys burger this week. Can we even talk about burgers, or am I not even in the same?
Sure.
Five Guys?
Five Guys is pretty good.
Yeah,
Solid burger.
Five Guys, pretty good.
What about okay, let's go back just for a second and look at this picture. You mentioned the fries. I only see one fry, and it's rather limp and sad.
A little.
He did say he didn't get as many.
wasn't- Yeah, that one was not fantastic, but the rest of them were the usual quality fries. Nice, crispy on the outside, and soft, warm, and steamy on the inside.
I know you are, Josh.
Yeah, but what am I? Right.
Ooh, Coy Label in the YouTube chat reminds us, is this Ash Wednesday?
Sure is.
Oh, boy.
I
I was
obviously
raised
didn't
Catholic,
give up
but-
podcasting and burgers.
Yeah. The Catholic Church threw me out long ago.
Hey,
Lost track.
Episcopals do Ash Wednesday too. I don't know about any other denominations, but I mean those are very similar.
Does that mean I should have eaten pancakes yesterday?
It means the thing of I don't know if it's everywhere, but punchkis, the word that I don't know how to pronounce and I certainly can't spell, that are in every bakery at every supermarket around here. That was the thing. Like Fat Tuesday, you eat punchkis. I guess the traditional one is prune. It's basically a donut filled with fruit. I had a half of a lemon one and half of a Holland cream. Neither were particularly good. Oh, and then another half of an apple, which was also subpar.
Isn't it like potchki or something like that?
Maybe.
That sounds more.
Because
It's
the,
spelled
I was watching. What is that? American Gods, and the place that they're doing it is like up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and that's one of the things is they gave him your first visit to the town, you got a free whatever. It was like potchki or I don't know. Anyway,
They're into pasties up there, not pasties. Pasties, which is like
Pasties, that was it.
Yeah, it's like a pot pie that you hold and eat, I guess.
More meat, less fruit.
Speaking of more meat, NVIDIA is going to be bringing more GPU meat to the table. We already knew about this from CES. Remember, Brett, you actually wrote that article introducing the 3060, the worst kept secret in tech, as you put it, I think, some words to that effect.
I did.
And they had another announcement, an official press release on the 12th, a few days ago, announcing that it would indeed launch on February 25. It had been previously announced as late February, so now we have a lockdown release date. Now, the MSRP, they're reiterating 329. Of course, we all know that this is two things. It's a partner-only launch, which means they don't have a Founders Edition card, unlike this photo here, which seems to indicate one, but, you know, I'm sure they have reference designs. But it will be a partner-only launch, which means, of course, that 329 doesn't really mean anything, because the market's going to decide how much these things are worth, and it's not going to be 329. But, hey, it's 2021, and Bitcoin is $50,000 plus. So, forgetting that for a minute, just for the gamers out there who actually want to buy a GPU to game on, I have this little excerpt from the specs. As you can see, compared to a 3060 Ti, the existing model, this will have fewer CUDA cores. SM count is down from, I think, 38 to 28, based on those core counts. Boost clock slightly higher than a 3060 Ti, base clock slightly lower, but the big thing is memory, because they went to 192-bit, as you would expect. But when you do that, because of SM count, memory controllers, you have to reduce the memory. So it was 8 and it would have been 6. However, they chose to double up on those memory controllers, and now it's actually going to be 12. So a base 3060 is going to have 12 gigabytes of memory, where a 3060 Ti only has 8. How do y'all feel about this?
Well, I know it'll make it a lot easier to hold those big fat mining hash tables. That's all. That's my thought on that.
I mean, 6 is enough for 1080p gaming. It's probably enough for most 1440p gaming. I mean, if you're at high or lower in most games. Yeah, Ultra, no. There are plenty of games that'll push 7 plus, but... obviously, if they had to go one way or the other, I'd rather they went to 12, because you can't really do 8 on 192 with the architecture, from my understanding.
And 6 anymore is just no bueno.
No.
But hey, we say that, and rumor is that AMD's 6700 will only have 6, because they're going to face the same problem, because they're at 256-bit with the 6800 series. So what do they do when they cut that down? Do they go down to 6, or do they double up and
Well, I mean, a 2060 regular is 6, so they were thinking about bringing that one back, or they have in limited amounts, or
I think
something.
they are.
So.
Actually.
Well, reportedly they're bringing back the 1050 Ti too. It's just if add-in board, not partners, but like I'm sure it's system integrators and OEMs who need GPUs to put in boxes. And at this point, okay, what do you have? 1050? All right, I'll put that in there.
Yep.
So,
Josh,
okay.
actually, it isn't really known whether that's old stock or whether they're actually making new chips. So I don't think that's definitive.
I don't know. They've probably got a bunch sitting around. And just making it available. But, you know, when you make an order, it's 18 to 24 weeks, depending on the process technology, to get a wafer through. So you're looking, 4 months to half a year. If you're buying bulk stuff, I don't know, kind of scary, because you're doing the TSMC 12 nanometer. Yeah,
Well, that line is not as loaded, right? The 12 nanometer line. Maybe there's a little capacity.
I think a lot of automotive, I think stuff goes on there, and there's shortages in automotive
Oh, big shortage. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that all semi-fab people are loaded up one way or the other.
Where's Nintendo
Yeah.
Switch? Is that at 12? What is that? I know the Tegra is an older
It's yeah.
product,
I
but
thought it
I
was
would
16 or 22.
Okay.
Oh, it's that old. Okay. Hey, Sebastian, that chip in that is actually a different die as well. It's no longer a cut down version of the 2070, or sorry, or 3070, 3060 Ti.
Hey,
So
that's a great point.
different chip.
If you go to, as I say in the article, if you go to everybody's favorite website for news about video cards with a Z,
Zzz.
they had been reporting GA 106 and have these GA 106-400 image here. So it's a new GPU. Anantech has the same info, so I don't know if they're reading the same sources or what. But we'll find out soon enough. I'm sure this is probably accurate. These rumors at this stage, this late stage, usually are. The stuff
What's
is
the
being manufactured.
likelihood that we get one to try?
You know, look at our previous track record of receiving GPU samples on both sides. It's actually been
Yeah.
very solid.
It is. Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to say. Okay,
Excellent.
next.
The Switch is 16 nanometers.
Is it
if you
16?
remember.
Okay.
There you go.
I was kind of
So is
excited about
mostly,
this.
right?
You were. You said 16 or 22. Maybe it began life at 22, but it's been a while, and maybe they did a die shrink at some point. I thought there was more than one processor, and I cannot remember the names of the Tegra chips. So wasn't it the X1, and they had like some other, who knows? I should
There's
just,
lots.
Yeah, I should. I don't know what I'm talking about. Uh, Metro Exodus.
Yeah, this is
Okay,
cool.
if you have done any benchmarking or played around with ray tracing stuff at all, one of the things that gets me is when a game has all this potential, and I know that it would be a big performance hit to do every single thing, like full path tracing. It's intense. Like my favorite benchmark is actually it's Bright Memory Infinite right now, and it's very, very hard on a system. But it looks absolutely phenomenal. Well, Metro Exodus is one of the games that had aspects of it that could take advantage of ray tracing. The new version, the enhanced edition that's coming out, what is it, Jeremy? Is it global illumination now that's going to be ray traced as well?
On the PC.
On the PC
Right,
only.
which is what's all that matters. That's what we cover here. This isn't console perspective.
Well, I mean, part of the reason why they got a chance to update it is due to the console, so let's give them their due a
Yeah.
little bit.
Oh, okay, sure. That would indicate it's like a DXR thing, which of course it makes sense because it's going to work on AMD as well. It's not going to be RTX only.
There you go.
right? But
There
it
you go.
will be
Exactly.
supporting DLSS 2.0 finally.
That is also correct.
Not on AMD, though, strangely enough.
Weird.
Yeah, kind of
It was
strange.
just, yeah, you're like, wait a minute, but the consoles are.
They also don't do the DLSS.
Oh, well, of course not. Okay, all right. Let me actually
right.
go to the news story so we have a.
That's cheating.
It is cheating, but I need to because of
It's
how
a
little
totally-
prep I've done.
Well, about as much as normal, right?
Well, yeah.
So what it'll be is an enhanced edition, which if you own Metro Exodus, you get for free. But because they have gone and changed and traced out every single light source in the entire damn game, you'll need a big Navi or at least probably a 2800 to be able to play it. Period. Because otherwise the ray tracing will just kill you. It's not going to be an option, so you'd still stick with the original game if you had an older GPU. So it's interesting to see just how extensively visually impressive it will be compared to what it was. Because it was already one of the few ray traced games you actually noticed on NVIDIA. So, are NVIDIA owners going to notice anything different, apart from better reflections? Or is it just going to be, pretty much the same, but now everyone can enjoy it?
Well, they say it's so extensive, it's not a patch. It's an
Yeah.
entirely separate install of the game to run this. So it's very different from your original install. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, if you own it, you're going to
You're
get
wrong.
this version.
You're wrong.
You are
Okay, no, you're right.
Yeah, I think everybody gets it who owns it. Already,
Correct.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at how beautiful it is in this still.
I still haven't gotten it, so
I've
but
got
I've
it.
been
I've
doing a
never
whole lot
fired
of
it up.
benchmarking. Yeah, you know, I've never played more than like 2 minutes of the original Metro 2033.
Because you use it as a
Probably
benchmark, right?
should. Yeah, all I ever did is start it up and do a benchmark.
Yeah, that's all I've ever done with Metro Exodus myself is run, because of course Metro games have the standalone benchmark tool that comes with the game, so you can actually fire it up without even running the game.
Yeah.
It just runs on the game engine, and
Yeah, it's a separate binary. Yeah.
it's underwhelming. It's an underwhelming benchmark. If you're like looking, you have to actually look for, oh yeah, those shadows or what? It's not shadows. What is it? It's like it's not fully ray traced. It's not the global illumination that would make such a big difference. And
Well, it is now. I mean, that's
well,
the
right, it
point.
will
Maybe
be. That's the thing about an image
Yeah.
like this. You look at it, and you can see the darkness where it should be dark, and you see light where there should be light, like light scatter and that sort of thing. Whereas games that don't have that, that use more traditional global illumination, everything there would be kind of glowing slightly. Every aspect of the wall would have some sort of lighting hitting it. I don't know. It's hard to. It's one of those things where once you've seen them side by side, like the Minecraft demo is a great one, and Quake RTX, and
The last cool thing that they've added, which is great for people running a really wide screen, is they have an adjustable slider for field of view now, which is great.
that's nice.
Yeah, you don't have to dig in the INI anymore.
Yep, I used to have to program that in if a game even supported it, is to set the FOV in the INI. Yep.
Well, breezing right along to story number 3 this evening, I saw what is going on with Audio Technica here, Jeremy. It's just a.
It's like a starter pack if you want to not sound like utter and complete crap on the internet. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of people that invest a lot of money in their camera and are using a Sennheiser all-in-one mic and wondering why no one's watching their stream. Well, the reason is audio. And so Audio Technica actually put together a package, and it's probably going to be $90 to $150 cheaper than if you bought them on your own. So it is kind of worth picking up. So what you get is their ATR 2500X USB-C cardioid condenser mic, which has got a fairly good reputation, and it has a monitor plugin for the monitor headphones, which come with this. And these are just sort of, decent Audio-Technica ATH M20Xs. The idea is, though, they're completely and utterly neutral. So you plug them in, and you'll be able to hear what your mic is getting without any delay whatsoever and without any audio effects that aren't actually there for your listeners. Apart from that, you get a boom and a padded desk stand. So it's pretty much just a starter kit for anyone who kind of wants to do semi-decent live streaming that the audio isn't a pain to watch. Because, it just really messes things up if it's utterly horrible. And so for $200, you're getting pretty much everything you need. The only thing that, and I agree with Tech Power Up on this, is that they should have put a pop filter in there. It's dirt cheap. There's no reason not to include it, and it does help a lot.
That is a nice looking package for $200.
It is.
Yeah, those headphones.
Why,
are,
thank you.
So that microphone is at least $100 alone, right? It's like $120.
Yeah, I think typically
Yeah.
you can get them in
Something like
bundles
that.
sometimes. I think I've seen them at like Sweetwater for $200 if you get it like with another like an instrument mic or something. But yeah, they're like $100. But actually, that was the XLR version. I don't even know how much the USB-C version is. But to get the arm with it, because a halfway decent arm is about $60. So to get that and the headphones, that seems like a pretty good deal. But you're right.
And the
like
desk
pop
stand
filter-
tripod if you want. I mean, it's cheap. Yes, you could just use a little piece of coat hanger and a leggings or poly. What am I trying to remember? Hose.
Pantyhose?
Yeah,
Pantyhose,
for the pop
thank you.
filter.
I
Yeah.
Haven't seen any in a long time. It just sort of slipped my mind. Yeah, you can do that. It will work. Just don't let anyone see it.
like the one that Josh has, you could always put in front of it. Very similar, not very expensive, and it's easy to attach to an arm. Stuff
That's
like
what
that.
I mean. Like, it's an extra $5. Just throw it in there, guys.
They're pretty
Do it.
cheap.
Yeah,
But it looks like a good package. I have the
Oh, yeah.
40s. I think these are the ATH X40s. Excellent headphones. Really like them a lot. So the 20s, if they're half as good, be a very nice set of headphones.
Audio Technica definitely on the more neutral side, like you mentioned. But hey, all you need to do is monitor yourself. You don't need them to be like bass headphones.
True.
Okay, Ryzen 5000, as we know, Zen 3 core. Apparently, can now hit 5 gigahertz, the magical number that we've all hoped for since Adored first mentioned it, seemingly years ago. CTR.
But not without assistance.
Clock tuner for Ryzen 2.1. This is that project, right? It's from the
This is
community.
that thing that I picked a couple of weeks ago.
Right. How do you pronounce this? Is it some sort of leet speak that I don't know how to pronounce, or is it literally just one USMUS?
That's what I got, was one
Lusmus?
One is
One
Iasmus?
Asmus.
One Asmus?
Mesmus.
Yeah, I don't think it's like an isthmus or something.
Okay.
Although if it was first, it could be isthmus, kind of. Whatever, the guy knows what he's doing.
Weren't you
Mine will
playing with
try and
this?
hit 5.
You were
Yeah,
playing with this.
I was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What's the word on this? Are you a patron? Did you get the new version?
No, I just talked about it for free on the internet,
Yes.
so they should shoot me one.
Because it
Well, the
actually
free
goes through and
version-
looks at your CCX units, your cores individually, looks at the
Yes.
best frequency. Yes, it does a lot of work
Pokes at
for
'em.
you.
And it makes different groups depending on how many CPUs you have and how it's arranged
Yes.
on which chiplets and stuff like that. Yeah. And it detunes
But no, like-
the clocks. Go ahead.
I'm happily running at 4.575 on all at 1250 millivolts. So it actually dropped my power usage at the same time as it increased it. Now, because I'm just
Amazing.
air cooled, even though I am insanely air cooled, it does try and hit 5. And every single time it'll hit thermal throttling at about 80 degrees Celsius and back off. But that's also not what I'm really trying to do, because it sets up different profiles. One is just the flat out every freaking thing we can give you. One is, here's a really decent overclock that is a little bit less voltage than you're normally going to run. And the third profile is, here's the lowest amount of energy we can feed it and keep it stable, so you can underclock. And it works great. You push a button, you walk away. Half an hour, 45 minutes later, it's gone through its things, and you can benchmark using a little Cinebench hack that they've got, where you're using the demo version where you get to run it once. And yeah, it's been very effective at getting people up to that magic 5 gigahertz level that you need.
Apparently
Does
there's
it work
another
for-
version.
Serious.
Go ahead.
Does it work for Threadripper or just Ryzen?
It does, like Zen 2 Plus. So like my old original Threadripper, I have to run an older version of it. But yeah, CTR 2.0 will do, and I guess 2.1 as well, will do anything that's on those architectures.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, and it's free. So if you happen to be a lucky owner of one of these, why not? Especially since
It-
a lot
It's
of people.
free, sort of.
Well,
I mean, version 2.1 is being released to patrons only right now, but it will be free eventually.
okay, I see. Well, I mean, they got to get something out of this all the time.
Absolutely.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure it's just endless hours to tweak and dial in all of these things.
Hey, well, the end result is that people who used to slave over this and spend a tremendous amount of time eking out the last bit of megahertz off of one of these CPUs can now just hit a button and walk away. Come back 30, 40 minutes later and be pretty darn close to maybe what they would have gotten to over days of tuning.
And the key is undervolting, apparently, with AMD stuff.
Apparently.
The
Well, a lot of
voltage is-
AMD stuff work like that. Apparently CPUs and the GPUs were very famous for that sort of thing, especially the Vegas.
That was always the number one comment.
I did
if
have
I
to-
did anything on those. I was like, did you undervolt? You undervolting it?
Yeah. Did you undervolt? Did you undervolt? Yep.
I did
All right.
change my power curve a little bit to make it a little more aggressive, but that helped. It's still
Razer-
lower voltage. It's just the, yeah.
There's Razor 2048 in the YouTube chat. He's asking, does the software need to run constantly, or does it just set your
Yes.
settings and then it's done? No.
No,
Okay, so you are
it's running constantly. One of the other things it'll do is it'll switch between the profiles.
Yeah, think of it
You
as
can set it
Afterburner.
to say, I want to go freaking nuts until I hit this, and then I want you to dump me down to just the mild overclock, and if it hasn't done anything in forever, but I forgot to turn it off, undervolt me. And then you can also set it to not do that. But yeah, the entire time, there's a minimize button, so it just sits very, very little impact on your system.
I want
It's
to.
currently hitting 38 megs of memory.
Oh, you're running it right now.
Yeah.
See, he's undervolted and overclocked on the podcast right now.
Wow.
It's a great name for the show,
Great
actually.
man.
Undervolted and
It is.
overclocked.
Undervolted and
Episode
overclocked.
616. By the way, I'm going to touch on this real quick because I followed this Twitter saga to its conclusion because the tweet author deleted it and then later was responding to
Oh,
questions
you were
about
there.
why he deleted it. Because apparently AMD reached out to him to have a conversation with him about this. This is a DIY, well, not a DIY, I'm not sure what it was. It was a company that produces gaming PCs, sells them with both Intel and AMD processors. And this tweet showed these very high ratios of DOA AMD CPUs, Ryzen 5000 chips. Of course, everybody picked this up. I've seen this from multiple outlets. This is the one from PC World, I believe, if I can get past any of these ads. Anyway, the original tweet from Power
this is it right
GPU that's screenshotted, which is, again, since been deleted. Failure rate on new AMD CPUs still too high, showing that of the 5950Xs that they had purchased to build PCs with, 8 were DOA, which seems impossible. 5900X, 50 units, 4 were DOA, 4 DOA 5800Xs, they bought 100 though. And then of the 5600Xs, they had 3 out of 120 dead. And then claimed that they only had one Intel CPU that was dead in their entire time of business, and it was a 9700K. So I think AMD wanted to reach out and kind of say, how are you configuring these? What kind of voltage are you using? These are probably pre-overclock because this company, I think, does liquid-cooled custom gaming systems.
It's Power GPU, by the way.
Right.
Don't know who they are, but
Yeah, it's a,
I'd
it's a
never heard of
small,
them before.
small boutique vendor, and I don't think they are in
Are they
the
German?
US.
that's a good question.
Yes. Anyway, they're going to be working with AMD from their. If you go to their Twitter account and look at tweets and replies and kind of follow the saga, even kind of around the fact that the original tweet's gone, you can see them kind of replying to people saying, "Hey, AMD, reach out to us. We're going to be doing some testing and sharing results and figuring out what is going on here." Because I mean, I have absolutely heard from people that my CPU was DOA, and the problem was literally, well, your BIOS probably doesn't support that particular chip because AMD and BIOS, and you might have to use another chip to flash it to then have that chip work. But you'd think a company like this would have, a bunch of CPUs laying around. And
And who's the big German retailer that always releases
it-
all of their actual numbers?
Mindfactory.de.
Mind Factory.
Because there's,
yeah.
there's a quote from them later on in this particular article that talks about what their RMA rates were, and it's subfraction of 1%.
It's really
so.
low. You know,
Right.
back in the day,
Did somebody? I'm just going to say, did somebody bend, spin, fold, or mutilate the box that those CPUs came in for that company? like, is this just a big chunk of shipping problems?
you wouldn't
That
think
went
so,
through the
but
X-ray
it
scanner?
Could
Josh,
be many, many issues. Am I not
Yeah.
speaking?
so you're speaking.
So back in the day, AMD used to have some big problems. Like if you got K62 especially, K62 was really famous for just dying out of nowhere. And I mean, I had, I was a small kind of system builder here in town, and I probably sold 50 to 60 of them, over a couple of years. And I've got a stack of like 16 behind me that have been, that they called me up. It was like my computer just stopped. I'd try to resurrect it and wouldn't. I'd put a new K62 in there. Everything came back up. And so that was like the worst. And they've had nothing like that since, really. Semprons, Durons, all the others, low-end chips. They have always had, from what I understand, a higher defect rate than what Intel does. But it's not that high where it's like, full percentages, like 1 to 2% are just dead, or in this case, there's 4 out of 50. I mean, that's 8% if I'm doing my math right. That just doesn't happen. If we were getting 8% DOA AMD CPUs, you would be hearing a lot more about it from retailers, from users on forums. And so, yeah, I'm real curious about what these Power GPU guys are doing with their chips, because those kind of numbers just don't really jive with what we're seeing. And I'm not trying to be an AMD apologist. I mean, like I said, they still have kind of higher defect rates than Intel does overall, but it's not like it used to be, and it certainly shouldn't be, 4 to 8% of all their entire stock, because, again, we would be hearing about it not just from all the retailers and OEMs and users, but from AMD as well on their quarterly reports, because somebody would mention it and they would have to say, yeah, we've had to buy back X amount of product because it's all bad. And, our margins have taken a 3% hit because we've had to replace all this and blah, 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 blah. But we haven't heard that. So.
Josh, you don't have to be that. You can be diplomatic all you want. I'm going to sit here in my ivory tower, and I'm just going to say, obviously, Power GPU is inept. And if they knew what they were doing, they wouldn't be reporting these ridiculous numbers that are probably not even possible. It's a lot more likely for a motherboard to be DOA. But
isn't that your tweet? Is that you're the one who said that, right?
No, I don't think I did. But like Hardware Unboxed kind of said the same thing. If you look at the response that's in here, it's unlikely that they've been that unlucky. I'm paraphrasing. It's far more likely that most of those CPUs were okay, just needed to be reseated, or they haven't been doing enough BIOS cross testing. Exactly. That's the thing about AMD stuff. It's a huge part of it to make sure that the motherboard you're putting it into is one that is properly flashed to support that particular CPU, and not every version of every BIOS is going to support every CPU even within the same family. I know sometimes the 5600X support is a separate flash from just 5900X, for example. So
W480 motherboard isn't going to work?
Hey, if you try hard enough, any motherboard will work.
Fair.
Now, leaping immediately to your defense, not that you need it at all, there's a personal story attached to the bottom of the article that we linked to here, and that's of a person's, maybe it was the author, who had a mishap with a 5800X. And they talked about some of the issues that they were having with it, and among them were some that sounded vaguely familiar, and it had to do with flaky USB behavior. I just found that very
Yeah, there was some of the tweets from Power GPU. We're talking about that, and I was just kind of rolling my eyes.
And
like, well, yeah,
they weren't
that's
CPU
an
failures.
X570 thing, though.
They weren't CPU failures.
That's a
they
feature.
weren't calling them out and saying CPU failure, this thing sucks. It was just like, hey, these things, like to Josh's point, they didn't fail outright. They were just weird. They just blue screened occasionally, maybe too often. They had USB issues or whatever, and maybe we swapped it out, and everything's fine. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like
Whose
a
fault
lot
is
of this
it?
is probably on X570 because
Oh, yeah, you have a point there.
the platform itself, and then some of the motherboards themselves. It depends on the board model. What if one of the boards that you flash, like when you you can literally flash away support for previous generations. Obviously, this is all 5000 series. Who knows? But it's complicated. I would immediately move the CPU to a different board and a known working with that exact model CPU before I said, this thing's DOA. Is it DOA? What if you have another board with a 5600X running in it? Try that one. But anyway, they deleted the tweet. There's something going on there. But what's going on here is an ad break. We're going to pause right here to hear from our podcast sponsor for this week.
Thank you, LinkedIn, Talent Solutions. And I'll read that in later.
Yes, and thank you. Thank you, Brett, for that marvelous ad read, and thank you to LinkedIn Talent Solutions.
Thank you.
Jeremy, I'll let you handle this. This is an old story, but it's back. Supermicro Spy Chip sequel again.
This is great.
More
Dude.
Yeah.
dubious claims with maybe, I don't know, who knows if is there factual stuff behind it this time?
No, like none whatsoever. They're just doubling down on what they said before, and like, yeah, no, seriously, there is an invisible chip on the motherboards. No one wants you to know about it.
Jeremy, they had 3 things of circumstantial evidence to prove their point. 2, maybe.
Yep. And the worst part is that they didn't pick any of the good ones.
Sources for their sources, or like our anonymous source was anonymously sourced
it was more
by
like
2 other anonymous sources.
It was more like, look over there. That's bad, so this has to be bad too.
Yeah. I don't know what this does. It's evil.
Yes.
But so they cited 3 things which did happen. Right back in 2010, there was a bad piece of kit on some U.S. Department of Defense computers that were kind of sending traffic back to China. And they were located and they were found, and there was physical evidence, and redacted white papers came out so that you could see exactly what it was without giving away anything proprietary or making themselves more vulnerable. 2014, there was a Chinese-based hacking group that got at a supplier for, I believe it was Intel, and managed to get into Intel via the hacked supplier's update page. And again, was discovered, evidence was offered, proof was in the pudding. And last, in 2015, there was indeed an FBI warning going out that yes, some Supermicro boards had an extra chip with backdoor code on it. The difference being that, again, you could actually point at that chip and say, it's actually this one. And if you take a look at it, this is actually the code that was on there we're saying, you probably don't want to have because it's bad. So because these things happened in the past, anything and everything Bloomberg said a couple of years back has to be true, even if they can't find the chip or they can't prove that there is actual code hiding in the spare memory on the BIOS chips on motherboards, which then load into active memory after you've installed the OS and then sends magic signals back to China. Damn it, we're right. It's super serial, and you have to take it. You got to believe us. And so they just doubled down with no reason whatsoever. I mean, I was laughing my ass off seeing that it came back because we'd forgotten about this idiocy a year and a half ago. It took us a while to forget.
But
I know they literally just came back with the same thing.
Jeremy, have you taken apart one of these boards? Do you know that there is nothing in between layers 3 and 4 of the PCB?
Work wouldn't pay for anything that new, and we'd probably still be having the stuff from 2014.
Oh,
if
so
we're
you got
lucky.
the
Is
hack
your,
more
board.
like these
is your
2010.
dual
still got the
Pentium
hack boards
3
in
board, does that run some sort of spy chip on it? I mean, there's a lot of chips on boards. Let's face it, they're complicated things.
true.
Who knows what all these chips do? Other than, the people who design them and people who study them and literally identify every chip that's on them. I'm not saying it's not possible, and I think what I was reading this time is that now they're saying, well, it's in the extra unused space in your BIOS ROM.
Yeah.
Like, unused space, hasn't that been a big problem lately, that it's hard to have, like...
Yeah, there's like no unused space anymore
No.
on these things. Even like the 32, maybe in the 32 meg ones, but 8 and 16, they're horning as much stuff in because now you've got, a graphical interface and you've got mouse support and mouse movement and clicking and it's not just keyboard and text. Though sometimes
Support
I really
for
do
multiple
miss
families
that.
of CPUs.
Yeah, I do miss the the blue background and the yellow text and yeah,
American Megatrends.
AMI and Phoenix and all those good guys. But I mean, they go through these chips kind of when they design the stuff, and I mean, unless it's a networking chip, maybe USB.
Well, they're saying it's phoning home, Josh. It's phoning home, and when I say home, I mean
It's
China.
phoning home. But I mean, yes, things
Your
are
network
getting
stack is
smaller
still
and
full.
smaller, and you can add more stuff to a chip. But it's just, I mean, the engineering behind a lot of these products, unless it's like, the really cheap webcams from China,
Yeah.
which will phone home because that's what they were designed to do. I mean,
Yes.
Logitech, motherboard manufacturers, guys like that. I mean, the verification of all these chips, what they're doing on the board, where they're communicating with. I mean, it's.
And it's watching you
it's
all the
very
time,
well
whether the
known.
lights, whether the
No, I
lights
thought that
on
was
or not, it's always-
Facebook. Look, Facebook
always
already is doing all this stuff
Oh.
anyway. So why are we so
That's
worried?
true.
Yeah, well,
I guess because you're not supposed to have Facebook running on a server. But I guess it could be a little scary when you get a new server board and there's this third Ethernet port on it that just says like plug to internet. And you're like, what? What is this for? I'll just do it. Okay,
well,
just plug
plug
it
it
in.
in.
Internet, I
Plug
guess.
to open internet.
I thought it only had two, but I guess it's got three.
You know,
All
it
right.
says to DMZ is what. Oh, okay. Well, we'll just route around the
Yes,
firewall.
like this. Yeah, whitelist this MAC address, please. Qualcomm. I love the use of Ace Attorney here. Qualcomm, fully licensed, of course. Qualcomm raises their arm. This is a pun.
Haha.
In objection against. I would say objection to, but objection against is fine. NVIDIA's acquisition. If you understood anything, let me start this over again. Qualcomm raises their arm in objection. No signal. Okay. All right. Let me just. I'm using my laptop this week, and I haven't hit anything for a while, so I just went to sleep. All right. Let's start that.
We're
over
doing it
again.
live.
Seamlessly moving to our next story. Qualcomm raises their arm. Get it? In objection to NVIDIA's acquisition. Objectionable. Ace Attorney finds it objectionable, as you can see from this fully licensed image here from our stock image library.
Fan art.
So what's going on? Who's objecting to this? Who would possibly have a
Well-
problem with this?
Well, there's a bunch.
If-
but anyway,
Yeah. The question was who would go first? And if you had Qualcomm, you win. Not surprisingly, because that's pretty much one of ARM's biggest licensees. And
yeah, other than Apple.
and they're slightly litigious. Also like Apple.
oh, they are.
Yeah.
So they've reached out to the FTC, the European Commission, the UK, and China. And they didn't give us the specifics of the objection, but we can say pretty much it's along the lines of, yes, Jensen says that they're not going to change anything. We just threw $40 billion at it, and it's just going to remain the exact same. And we don't necessarily trust that that's going to be true. It'll probably take about 30 pages of an amicus brief to go through to get it, but that's, I think, what it's going to be.
Well, we had to know
think-
it was coming
Well,
Oh, yeah.
because it's. I mean, ARM is ubiquitous across the industry, and when one of its, one of the competitors of the group finally makes all of this money and has a financial background to be able to make such a thing, because even though we don't know how much ARM really makes a quarter, just because it's all part of that SoftBank and they don't do quarterly reports anymore. But it's not going to be, it's probably 750 million a quarter, because I mean, when they were doing results, they were around 300 million, and that was several years back. I mean, and now they've certainly grown. They've expanded a lot. They shipped something like 6 billion chips last quarter, or so far this quarter. I mean, it's just an amazing. I mean, I say they shipped. I mean, all their partners shipped, and they get the royalties from it, depending on the license. They're going to get mad because NVIDIA is an aggressive company, and their track record is interesting with acquisitions. And
just acquisitions?
I
I
don't
thought
think
you were
ARM
gonna
is going to
say-
go anywhere, and the technology is not going to go anywhere. I mean, it's not like PhysX, where it just kind of
Or Lucid
disappeared,
Logic.
or
Yeah.
No,
Well,
they didn't. It was Icera. It was Icera, not Lucid Logic.
Yes, sorry, you're right. It was Icera. Damn it.
Yeah,
PhysX
yeah, so
wasn't
that modem
driving
company,
the world's smartphones and a lot of other devices.
It was not, and it was not on the leading edge of 5G. So
Oh, yes, yes.
yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't. If NVIDIA can lay out a plan and convince several partners that, hey, you know what, things aren't really going to change. It's in fact, we're going to, kind of enhance the technology that we'll be licensing out. But we just, want to have a bigger say in where this goes rather than, hey, we're going to be the overlord. We're going to make Intel look like, AMD is to Intel now, just because we can control so much of the silicon production and licensing. And I don't know. But it's a logical move for NVIDIA, and it's a logical move for NVIDIA's competitors, because they tried to do the Tegra and they had very little success, and so now they're leaning on all of their GPU and automotive stuff, and what they're making hand over fist money in data center, and with the new RTX cards, guys like Lambda Labs are selling a lot of servers that utilize these to small to medium businesses who actually do, machine learning and AI stuff. These are expensive cards still, but they're not, the DG1 type stuff that there's overkill for these companies. And so NVIDIA is still making an absolute ton of money in all here. And going after ARM is, it's a next step, and it makes sense because there's a lot of technologies there that they can integrate in, and again, get their people, and get kind of the culture of NVIDIA, which ARM doesn't have a bad culture at all, but NVIDIA is just another level of aggressiveness when it comes to their core markets. So yeah, Qualcomm, Huawei, all those other guys, they probably are very concerned. And
Well, hasn't NVIDIA set the table in their own special way to sort of create these trust issues? I don't know, I'm trying to say that diplomatically.
I said that
The kitchen.
NVIDIA
You're
is
talking about the
aggressive.
kitchen table, right? 'Cause with-
The kitchen. Haven't they baked their cake? They should sit in it.
I don't know.
How many
Speaking of
spatulas
aggression,
does one man need?
yeah,
Exactly.
Well, I don't know, Jim, because I'm not seeing any spatulas back there. We talked about the spatulas. Wait a minute, hold on. Let's spatula check here.
No.
No,
they're
still not
there.
seeing any spatulas.
Oh, I see like a knife holder, but that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a spatula in a pinch.
I don't see Apple coming in yet either. Do they think they hold an unassailable license? I don't know, or whether or not they get a chance to weigh in on this.
Hey, they'll just
Don't
design
know.
their own. They'll design their own clone.
They did. I
alternative.
mean,
remember
they
AMD's
own.
They're going to
own
go
ARM's
risk
top
5
level.
and-
Yep.
They own the best, or the most expensive, or whatever license you want to call it. It's the architectural license to the
That's the
ARM core.
architectural license.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I
Same
thought
as
it was.
AMD, same as NVIDIA.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, what's
So
ARM have to
they
say
can-
about all this? Like Qualcomm's complaining. What about ARM?
Yeah.
Is ARM complaining about NVIDIA buying ARM?
No, they want to sell themselves.
Not really. Yeah.
They're a little hard to hear right now.
Well, SoftBank
No,
came
they're-
in
they're
and said,
tied
look,
back.
you guys are going to the highest bidder. And that's all there is to it. And ARM is
Oh,
like,
yeah, okay.
okay.
All right. Except for those
Yes,
holdouts
master.
in China who will
That's
forget that
funny.
the war is over.
Yeah.
I like how we were keeping this totally non-political and non-volatile, Brett.
I didn't
Right.
agree to that.
How can all
Hey,
that?
that's actually
Bitcoin.
true. That,
Let's move on. Bitcoin. Everybody's talking about it. Gamers love it. It doesn't have any effect on the supply of GPUs whatsoever. Bitcoin apparently consumes. Now this is somewhat a misleading title here, but the title is Bitcoin consumes more electricity than Argentina. Well, Bitcoin doesn't. As my freaking laptop goes to sleep again.
Again.
Bitcoin does not consume more electricity than Argentina, but apparently Bitcoin miners do. And there's a nice graphic here, which, you know, somebody cleverly put some flag emojis over a Bitcoin symbol on top of a processor. But estimating Bitcoin's annual electricity consumption more than the Netherlands, UAE, and Argentina. I mean, it's a lot. And
Yeah.
this article was written
It's
when it was
ridiculous.
at 48,000. It was at 52 earlier today. So all this is going to result in is more people mining on whatever they can get their hands on. Because when it's that high, almost anything's profitable. We've seen pictures, I've seen numerous pictures on Twitter of people with mining operations that use laptops. So if
Start
you're,
mining on this.
if
No, I
you're-
don't know
Yeah,
about
but
you
mining
guys,
kind of
but
came
I-
to a halt in Texas.
Yes,
Yep.
sadly.
No, I noticed something on this chart here. If you guys can zoom in, or actually I'm controlling that one, but there's something interesting I saw there. Oh, wait,
is?
it's not showing me. Never mind.
What?
It
What are we
stopped.
seeing?
It was. What happened? I edited it. I had a
No,
joke.
where's your edited version?
I don't know.
All right,
It's
well,
gone.
Jim,
I'm so confused.
I feel like maybe there was going to be a visual gag there.
Oh, okay. Here
All right,
we
hold
go.
on. We're going to pretend that never happened. All right.
We'll fix this in post.
All right, Jim.
Sure we will.
Go ahead, zoom in there. I saw something very odd on that chart that surprised me.
Oh, I see it now.
Alan Malventano.
Well, it's
Yeah.
not just
Situated
Bitcoin
just-
then. He's
He's
also
somewhere in
got a
between
Tesla.
Turkey and Taiwan.
in
That's
Taiwan.
interesting.
You know, that seems reasonable for him, though.
Look, he's got multiple electric vehicles in his household. It's not.
He's heating his
Several-
mother-in-law's house with several Bitcoin ASICs because her furnace went out.
Hey, allegedly.
Yeah. So
We've seen the pictures.
I don't know if those were public.
I mean, he's got several petabytes worth of storage, at least locally, if not yottabytes by now. And, you know, the mining.
You know, as unfortunate as the current situation is for people living in Texas without power, it's probably helping everybody else. Because if they aren't mining, that means the demand is probably higher. So your returns will be higher.
yeah, maybe.
Okay.
So, Sebastian, are you going to throw some mining on one of your 3090s? I know you have several.
I have one. We have the one that I reviewed recently. We did not receive a Founders
Supreme.
Edition. Supreme.
It's supreme.
Yeah.
It reigns supreme.
So, real quick, I did an update, sort of, to a previous review because Samsung has enhanced. They've added to the 980 Pro family with the 980 Pro 2 terabyte model, which
Hey, did you zoom and enhance?
I didn't.
Oh,
There's almost no cropping on that image because of the way that it was taken. It's a macro lens at very short, like very close range. Anyway, the 980 Pro, 2 terabyte, obviously it's larger. The previous high was
Can I-
1 terabyte.
Can I talk about your depth of field in the photography, or should I wait?
Oh, you can. We can do it.
That's
in-
like
good. I
8
mean,
inches,
it's-
right?
Yeah, it's very close.
I was very close, yeah. Probably 6
Yeah.
to 8 in this picture.
Yeah.
It wasn't fully extended. I mean, there was a little bit more
Oh,
room on the
oh.
tripod. if you
No,
know what I mean.
okay.
All right.
Plus, it was
All
kind of.
right.
It's been cold lately. Of
Of course.
course,
Shrinkage.
this is their Gen 4. The 980 Pro is their Gen 4. It uses their own controller. It's called the Elpis, I think. And obviously, this goes against like Physon's E18, which is their newer one. Silicon Motion has some new stuff. I don't think it's quite as fast. I have not tested one of the Gen 4 WD Black drives, the SN850. I've asked for one. We have not received one. But anyway, one of the things I was looking at this, and the first thing I looked at was DRAM, and this is twice the DRAM is the 1 terabyte model, 4 times the DRAM of the 500 gig model that I tested. So I'm thinking, man, writes on this thing are gonna be crazy because you got way more available flash, you've got all this DRAM. That'll
But
mitigate
your
the
reads
fact.
and writes are slightly slower.
Yes, they are.
Interesting.
Yes. And the thing about this is the number of chips.
Because in
is
theory, you
exactly
should
the
have
same.
more SLC cache in the 2 terabyte that it'll take longer to. Interesting. I have to think about that for a bit.
I'm thinking
Sorry
this is
to interrupt. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's early days with this drive. I did reach out to Samsung because I wanted to know if they were planning on releasing an NVMe driver for this generation, because previous generations 950 through 970 had a special Samsung NVMe driver that did offer better performance than just the Stormy or Stormy. I'm thinking that's an AMD thing. Whatever the default Windows NVMe driver is, and this one just uses, in my testing, I was just using that. The only way I could get to their rated speeds was by using just the built-in tool inside of the Magician software. Nothing else would provide me with the advertised speeds. Anyway,
So you couldn't use one of their drivers and then get through Windows reads and writes to meet what they said their spec was.
here's the thing. The driver requires the presence of a supported product to install. So I tried to install it anyway, and in the review I mentioned TweakTown. TweakTown used the previous gen driver on this. I'm assuming they did because they said they used the
Yeah.
Samsung NVMe driver, and they had a before and after. I'm getting way ahead of myself here. The thing about this is this has the same number of chips as the 500 gigabyte unit. I was counting chips like that. This is still a single-sided device. It's just more dense. The NAND that's on it is more dense. So I wonder if that contributes to.
That's kind of rude to say. It's just not as smart.
Well, it does have smart monitoring.
I don't
So,
think that's what it means.
There is that. Let's just look at some meaningless sequential numbers here. Crystal Disk Mark, I did at least the lower Q depths, QD1 through QD8. And, of course, this scales up like every drive with higher Q depths, but the 500 gigabyte model in sequential reads is actually slightly faster. And I was like, what is going on here? And then with writes, here we had the new 2 terabyte up ahead where I knew it had to be. It's more DRAM, more available NAND to write to, but it's very close, not much. And we're talking just over 5,000, which is what it's rated, is 5,000 megabytes, 5 gigs. But the reads, I could never get it past about 6,800. And in theory, this should be able to push about 7,000. It could be the limitations of my test setup. This is an AMD X570 board. Who knows? But this is, looking at random reads here, this is where things change a little bit more dramatically. Reads are okay. This is, again, lower Q depths, single thread. You go to writes, and I could not get it higher than 400 megabytes a second, even at QD8 single thread, when the 500 gigabyte model was at almost 500 megabytes a second, 4K random single thread. And then drives like the MP600, which is a Gen 4 2 terabyte drive from Corsair, we have that on hand. That was shipped by AMD with their original Zen 2 review kit. That's a Phison E16. So that is at the top of this particular chart, but these numbers are what they are. I have a few more on here, but what was interesting to me is this particular image that I borrowed from TweakTown with credit. Default out of the box, they were getting pretty much what I saw. 6,800, this one almost 6,850. Reads, just under 5,000 writes. This moves up to almost 7,200 on reads and 5,200 on writes using the Samsung NVMe driver. So I'm thinking either there needs to be a little bit of tweaking done to the firmware on this particular drive, or it needs that Samsung NVMe driver, which is not currently offered on the download page. So like my peak
So
absolute highest
you couldn't get
performance. No, I cannot. I asked for one. I waited a couple days. I haven't heard back yet, but it's one of those things. It's like if you're leaving performance on the table, that's not good because the competition is so fierce right now. All of a sudden, where they had to lower their price right off the bat. This is now $399.99. Where I thought this was originally launching at like $479, $459. Now it's $399, and that is the same
even
price.
Their 1 terabyte is it's like $229. It's right
Yeah.
around that same area as the WD 850 and then
Black.
and the Sabrent based on the Rocket 4 Plus. They're all right in spitting distance, where previously Samsung always had a pretty hefty margin So I'm curious because people typically don't mind spending extra for Samsung. So I don't know why they're not hitting that margin up a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, what's weird is this 2 terabyte is the value drive in the series because it has the lowest cost per gig. It's about 20 cents per gig. And it's just strange, like you said. This is even beyond even Evo a little bit because it's competing with a brand like the Rocket 4 Plus gets very good reviews, very, very high sequential transfer numbers, higher than this because they're over 6,000 on writes. But like you're saying, like you'd think the Samsung name commands a premium, but all of a sudden they're playing at the exact price level of that Rocket 4 Plus, which shows higher sequentials. So I don't know. It's just a little odd. I feel like if they'd gone with 2-bit MLC, it would have been a much higher performing drive, like a Pro has always traditionally been. And by going with TLC on this and then ultra high density flash, this is I think their 96 layer. So I don't know, but it was just the pricing and the sort of underwhelming performance. I would like to update this after hearing back and saying, hey, there's this new driver and now it is the fastest drive. Or, they've tuned the firmware and now it performs better at those lower queue depth workloads that are more like realistic day-to-day Windows stuff. The drive does feel snappier, that kind of a thing. But as of right now, you would only get this for the value. If you wanted performance, you could get one of the lower capacity drives in the family. And like even the 500 gigabyte sample I have here, it does test slightly faster than this 2 terabyte model for whatever reason. Maybe I need to play with over provisioning and stuff, and maybe there's some magic formula I'm missing as far as how to actually extract the best performance
It's a lot
out
of
of
effort
this.
for an SSD, to be perfectly
Right.
honest.
Typically, you just plug it in and you format it and you put, stuff on it. But this one was a little bit more complex than that. Let's move past that to picks of the week. And Josh, you traditionally start us off. What do you have for us?
Why is this a tradition? I don't understand.
Because I've made it a tradition.
You did.
Son of a...
I don't
what
even know
happened.
what the definition. My family argues about what a tradition means. That's our tradition. My sister and I yelling at each other about whether or not something like Elf on the Shelf is a tradition. Like, what do you mean tradition? This
No,
is
it's an
something that's-
abomination.
It's been invented. No, it's
meta.
tradition because I looked like she literally using the definition of the word tradition and arguing with me about it over Christmas. But anyway,
Is this when you start singing like the Elf on the Shelf?
I don't know.
Tradition.
Is there a song? Tradition is something that we've done at least once. Now this is tradition. Like, I don't know.
It might take more than once for it to qualify.
I was going with the whole Fiddler on the Roof, Tevye singing tradition, but
I don't get it.
You-
You're
If you've
you're
never
over my
watched.
head. I'm sorry.
one of the great musicals of all time, Fiddler on the Roof. I highly recommend that you watch the version with Topol.
Yeah.
That should be my pick of the week for you. It is your homework to somehow do this. We have
No.
Plex servers.
Nope.
Yep.
Those
Set a
only
few
have
hours
open
aside.
source software on them, Josh.
and educational videos.
Yes, lots of
like,
educational videos.
stuff that's in the
Public
public
domain.
domain. Yeah, like,
This is
I,
arts.
yeah.
I
in
was
the
watching
public
some
domain.
silent films from the early 1900s on there.
But anyway,
Very
you need to. It is not only a great musical, but is a fantastic film, and it's one that I can watch multiple times and not have any problems because you do notice some really really fascinating things throughout. But tradition. On one hand, you have TLC memory, but on the other, anyway.
Did you have
I'm not
an
gonna go.
actual pick, or we just?
That
Yes,
was
I
tonight's
do.
musical
Yeah.
number,
That's the
by the
pick?
way.
Well,
musical number.
I didn't want to mention this just in case we lost Alan again for a couple of months, like we did with Victorio.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Go ahead,
This is a
Josh.
game then. All right. Now, thanks for stealing Josh's
Okay, it's
thunder.
actually a game. It's Dyson Sphere program. It's kind of a world building game, except that you want to go to what's the Kayashev level? What the that eventually your civilization grows up big enough that you will take up the entire energy output of the sun. And so to do that, you have to build a Dyson sphere.
Kardashev.
Kardashev. And
Yeah.
so this is essentially this, and you have to deal with orbital mechanics, and it's a fantastic game, still brand new, looks nice, and people seem to like it. It's only $20. It's early access still, but $20, it's hard to beat.
Been
And if
staring
you're
at
into
it.
Dyson
thinking,
Spheres, I recommend Star Trek: The Next Generation, Season 6, Episode 4, one of the
Stop
best
it.
episodes of the series, Relics, starring
With
the
Scotty.
late, great
Scotty's on there.
Jimmy
Yeah.
Doohan.
Yep.
Yep.
And a big old Dyson
Lads,
Sphere.
And
if you can't handle the morning, you shouldn't drink the night before.
Patrick Stewart and James Doohan have that nice scene on that sort of mock-up of the original bridge, which is happening inside the holodeck, and they drink together, real liquor, not
Romulan ale.
not synthahol or whatever. A great episode, and he finally does get to feel useful again. Jeremy, do you have another musical for us?
Nope, I had almost nothing, so I went with cheap RAM. But hey, it's $50 off for 32 gigs of DDR4 3600 that
Okay.
will work with your Ryzen desktop. So and Intel XMP as well, and it's pretty and flashy but no, honestly, for just $195, so it's 20% off, a little bit of shipping. But if you buy something else with Newegg, you won't have to pay for that, and it's a pretty solid kit. It's not going to win you any benchmarks, but then again, it's also not going to cost you $350.
Wait, is this the Canadian version? Yeah, this is Canadian.
Yes.
Okay. I feel like that's high, but hold on, let me see what the
The $sign is deceiving, isn't it?
Yeah, okay. In the US,
Yeah, we got dollars up here too.
In the US, it's listed
heard
at
of that.
185, but it's out of stock, so sorry US buyers, cuz I'm sure it was on sale below that. I think 3600 when it's CAS 18 like that here typically would be somewhere closer to, I don't know, 32 gigs. Maybe less than that. Maybe less than 200.
That depends. 16 gig kits are cheap right now. 32s not so much.
Yeah, I feel like no, the last kit I bought was a G-Skill kit. I only paid like 119 for it, 32 gigs, but it was
Nice.
3200 CAS 16.
Where do you
not
think
3600.
where do you think the latency speed rating sweet spot is right now, for feeding a Ryzen CPU? Is that
It's 3600.
3616, 3618?
I think ideally it would be 16. It depends on the kit,
3616?
and you have to deal with.
But you'll pay some premium for 16.
Now, right, you will. Ryzen likes, at least in my experience, at least with the board that I use, which is that Crosshair 8 board, you want even numbers. CAS 15 will gear down to
right.
16.
Yes.
Take 14, but not 15. Don't bother with 17. I've seen 17 before. It'll go to 18. Or unless
So do you
you
think
can
you should
get
roll
it
the
down to
dice with
16.
16? Roll the dice with 16 and see if you can't get it to clock down to 14?
14 is tough. I feel like 14 is Samsung ICs, and
Okay.
you're paying a huge premium for that. Really, if you do anything like typical workloads, you're not going to see the difference between 16 and 18. The important thing is to get up to 36 so you can run that F clock at 1800 on the Ryzen processor.
Assuming
That's the
it
most
likes it.
important thing. Well, yeah.
They don't all like it, but
Well,
Most of
2000
them do.
series definitely do not.
no.
3000 series I've never had any problems with, and the 5000 just is like, yeah, it's great.
Might as well be standard. Why isn't it 18 at this point? Just standard.
I don't
I know.
know.
Okay, what do we have here? Brett, you are next.
If you're like me, and I know I am, I like fast networking. Now, I had invested in a Microtech switch and those transceivers that allowed me to plug in various, I had a lot of 10 base T style 10 gigabit, and that seemed to fit with the way I wanted to run stuff and the length and the distance that I needed connect between machines and computers and servers and things like that. But there's a slightly more economical way to achieve that networking. And QNAP has come out with a series of both managed and unmanaged switches. And right now, I think this one is right in the sweet spot of the most utility, because it gives you the ability to connect your older 1 gigabit capable machines, and that's as fast as they'll go, or IoT devices or whatever you have.
And you won't have to
television type
manually
stuff.
remove the fan on this one, apparently.
No, well, how did you know I did that? I think I talked about that
You
one.
mentioned it previously.
I did. It's on a old Linksys switch. I just looked at it. It's still working. But anyway, that allows you to mix your older equipment with a variety of new equipment. But the cool thing about the one that I picked is that it had several combo ports as well as a couple of pure SFP plus ports. And the differences between those is the combo ports on the QNAP switches anyways have a 10 base T style 10 gigabit built-in, and the SFP plus ports are there for a transceiver, so that you can buy a fiber one or a different medium, probably a fiber channel one. Those are fairly inexpensive. The 10 base T ones take a lot of power, so they're usually $40-ish, maybe a little bit more, closer to $50. But with one of them or two of them built in, it becomes a fairly decent value, with getting probably between your computer and maybe your server, and then you're throwing in another transceiver to get to another switch someplace else. Anyway, at that price, you can't beat it between a gigabit switch and a couple of 10 gigabit ports that already have the 10 base T style transceivers built in. It's fairly good value. And I think people probably would be well served by that, because most people are used to running that kind of wiring, or they already have it. And you can get 10 gigabit over short runs of 10 base T style, even 5E short runs.
How short? Like 3 feet?
Longer, but
A little bit
I
more.
wouldn't run it. I wouldn't run it 70 feet, but you can do 20 or 30. It maybe with a little bit of errors. You can certainly get 5 out of it easily 5. And a lot of new boards are coming with 2.5. So this is a great switch to grow with and use all of your 2.5 off right out of the box, and then have it there so that you can grow your network after a period of time. Jim has got 10 gig everywhere. In fact, he's probably got 10 gig to his headphones.
It's all
I
fiber.
used to.
Yeah.
Oh. Hey, speaking of Jim, what is your pick of the week, Jim Tanis?
Okay, so obviously we've all referenced that we like old games, Sierra stuff, Space Quest, King's Quest, all that. There's a YouTube channel that I found recently. It's relatively small, which is a shame because he's really good, but it's called the Space Quest Historian. And he does videos, obviously focused on Space Quest, but other adventure games of the era. And he does retrospectives, which are sort of very humorously done reviews. He has he's a musician, so he talks about the music, the graphics, and how the graphics work, and upscaling, new projects, remakes. He's interviewed people from the industry. Ton of great content here. He has just started, within the last couple of months, a series of retrospectives on King's Quest, which is funny because he doesn't really like the fantasy stuff or sci-fi. So they're funny. He's just got a really humorous style. So check out his videos. He's also got a Patreon going on now to fund some of these series that he does. After I discovered this channel, I spent a lot of hours just browsing through. So if you like the old Sierra games, you're probably going to like this.
It's always good to find new retro channels, and I feel like they pick up momentum quickly. All it takes is a bigger channel to either feature them or do a collab, and then all of a sudden they'll have more. But yeah, I'll check
I
it
wonder
out.
if he can ever get a hold of Ken and Roberta, because they're still alive.
I would
They're in
assume.
their 60s now.
He's had like producers on, musicians who worked on the games. I don't think he's had the Ken and Roberta on yet, but yeah, maybe.
That'd be
The
cool.
music is legendary in some of those, especially I think several of the videos I've watched have featured Space Quest music that's excellent.
Space Quest was so tongue in cheek,
Oh yeah.
satirical, and smartass. It was fantastic. If I remember the first one, I got my mom actually into it because the first bar when you went to go and buy your ship, it had the slot machine, and she loved nickel slots. So it's like, here, Mom, I'll start that game up for me, would you? I'm like, all right. So gamble a character into the bar and go and play the slot machine, and got her fix.
Real quick, I actually have a pick this week. It is, we were going to talk about this earlier, but LastPass, something I've used for a long time, just the free version because it had everything I needed. And I use it as a browser extension. I have the app on my phone. And they are transitioning to a new phase of their company's history where basically they're trying to force people into the premium service, and they're going to make you choose to either use it on a phone or use it on a computer, but not both unless you pay them X number of dollars a month. So I think that it's going to be very popular to look for alternatives. There is an excellent one, Bitwarden, which is apparently open source. At least they have it feels like exactly the same thing, only blue instead of red. I have looked into this, got the browser extension, got the app going. It works exactly the same. And it works on your phones. It works on any browser. I use the newest version of the Edge browser. What is that even called anymore? And
Credge.
yeah, and it does not have an extension for that, but because you can use Chrome extensions, it works. So I have that running. So it's totally fine. And it's free. It says free forever. When you look at plans and pricing, the basic plan for a personal is $0 a month, and it works on mobile, it works on desktop, it doesn't any limitations. So I've been moving everything over from LastPass, and it's totally fine. Works exactly the same. And on my phone, because I have an iPhone and I use Face ID to unlock, that was one of the things I liked about LastPass was if I ever forgot my crazy master password, my face could recover it for me. It would do password recovery with your face. But I guess
How
somebody
about your voice? How about your
No.
voice as your passport?
I haven't
Verify me.
investigated that.
Yeah.
It does it by blood.
No, I thought that was Jim's way of getting through the airlines.
Blood?
No, his voice was his passport.
Was it his voice? Well, I thought it was his retina.
Verify me.
No, it
Yeah.
was just my.
This
I
is
just
yet
gave all
another
of my
movie
biometrics
that
to big
obviously
government.
Sebastian has not watched.
Yeah.
Sneakers.
I've not.
Sneakers,
not seen it.
Sebastian.
Nope.
Go watch it.
Nope. Okay.
We got to create a list
but-
for you.
The tech is laughable at this point, especially. But,
Oh, it was
Yeah.
then too, kind of.
okay, it was then. It was like you can't do that, but it was funny.
No, like hacking, where it's just like all over a keyboard and like you're
Yeah.
No,
doing
actually,
things you
their
could not
hacking
possibly
was-
do.
Was reasonable.
Yeah, it was better than like hackers.
Reasonable.
Okay, it
This is
was.
not,
it was better
it's
than
not
hacking.
hacker. It's not that one with Hugh Jackman and John Travolta.
Swordfish.
Scorpion or swordfish.
Yeah, Swordfish.
Tell no lies, or no more lies.
Anyway,
Don't watch that one. It's not worth it.
But Sneakers is a fun movie. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not bad. The hacking is a little bit point and laugh a little bit, but it's good.
Yeah, I'm being
Oh,
told
and Mere PPC tells us
Yeah.
it's free. Hulu
free on
and
Yeah.
Hulu and Amazon Prime. Well, I don't. Okay, Amazon Prime isn't free. If you already have Amazon Prime, then yes,
It
it's not
costs no
additional
more.
cost. Right.
yeah.
I'm already paying them like $100 a year, or whatever it is now. Maybe they raised it again.
And Amazon thanks you for that. They
Yeah,
do.
I'm sure they do. They need
No,
as
they
much
won't.
money as they can get. Okay. Anything else from anybody? We've been doing this for almost exactly an hour and 20 minutes.
Nice.
I like 1Password. It costs a little bit of money, but it's been really great for a number of years.
What's the one Alan
So-
always talks about? RoboForm. It's another
I
one.
don't know.
KeyPass is another good one.
Yeah.
But guys, Bitwarden. It's free. And it does everything
Never heard of it.
most people want. Check it out. Check it out.
You don't know what I want.
You want.
What you really, really
Okay.
want?
Yeah, I don't want to know what you want.
You're not me.
Invasive authentication procedures.
Exactly.
Look.
Put this one in your mouth and put this one. No, wait. it's
Wait,
over.
no. This one in your mouth. This
Bear
one in
down.
your-
This one.
After enough times, it doesn't matter anymore. Don't worry about it.
Okay, another one. Mirror saying KeyPass is free and open source.
Yeah, KeyPass is
I
the one
thought
that I just
Bitwarden was open
mentioned.
source. Anyway, maybe it's not, and I'm just completely wrong. But let's see. It's not. Oh, it is open source.
You're going to be fine.
Bitwarden is open source, said Mr. A.
Anyway,
Yeah, that concludes another episode of PC Per Podcast. Tune in next week if and when we do this again. We probably will. But I always think, hey, maybe next week we'll take the week off, and it's never going to happen.
You said 90 minutes.
We just love it so much. Hey, it's been 93, and I'm loving it.
I think we
Nice.
started a little bit late. I think we're going to
We
look
started
Yeah,
a
it
couple
doesn't
minutes
matter.
late.
Just
The
shut
important
up, who
thing
cares?
is
We're
the
not,
time.
We're
the
not
time.
peating here.
Yeah, it's over. The podcast is over. We're in post-podcast mode, and let's keep it short so I can actually sleep.
This is where people get to
Yeah, I
ask
didn't
Jim,
sleep well.
questions. No, I'm just kidding.
Blue 2501, you are a bad person for using LastPass. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess.
No.
Yeah.
No, you're not. You're fine. Who cares? It's $3
Robert
a month.
Redford. Robert Redford. I forgot who that was in Sneakers.
Yeah, he was in Sneakers along with Gandhi.
Oh, Mahatma Gandhi is in there.
Mahatma Gandhi.
Well, the guy who played Gandhi.
My sound and video have been out of sync.
Ben
Yes, it
Kingsley?
has. There's a problem with this webcam. I need to actually go back to using the Sony a6000 with the cam link again. Because the power, the NVENC thing with words.
you have
Words
been out
are
of
not
sync.
working, so it doesn't matter. Plus, I never used the full screen shot of myself, so who cares? I'm just a thumbnail. Who cares if I'm not in
Oh my
sync?
gosh, you didn't even turn on the Corsair RGBs. I just noticed
No.
that.
It's very out of sync.
Yeah, just a little bit.
It's very bad.
Maybe your recording will be better.
No, it will not. This is.
Oh, sweet.
There are problems. I need to rebuild this system. Is the problem? I don't want.
Did you hit record this week? Did
I
you hit
did.
record?
Let me stop the recording. Stop recording. Yes. I'm
Do you
hanging on to this
remember-
system built on an H270 board that I bought on Amazon like 4 years ago.
Nice.
That army movie with Goldie Hawn. Private
Was it
Benjamin?
Bird on the Wire?
Private Benjamin.
Bird-
Yeah, Private Benjamin.
Bird on a Wire was with Mel Gibson, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then there was Once
Yeah.
for Tigers, which was her football movie.
And don't forget Overboard.
Oh, can't forget Overboard.
That was Kurt Russell with her in that?
Kurt Russell and Goldie
It
Hawn,
was.
yeah.
Yeah.
They ended up
That was
together.
back when he was like famous and doing everything, like Romancing the Stone. And
No,
Was that
that's
him?
that's
Michael
Michael
Douglas?
That wasn't-
Douglas.
that's
was-
Mike.
that was
That's
Michael
not.
Douglas.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell
Not
was
Kurt
was
Russell.
doing things like
Escape
Tango
from New
and
York.
Cash. Yep.
And yeah, Snake Plissken.
Snake Plissken.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the original,
Snake Plissken.
only slightly ripped off by Kojima there.
Solid Snake.
So, I wanted to say that Corsair sent me something cool over the last couple of weeks. They sent me this cool light up cape.
good
Like
for
a
wet
stole,
weather.
isn't it?
It's pretty neat. I like it.
It's a light up stole. Maybe a mantle.
Yeah. It's
This
nice.
is old man humor for anybody watching our after show here.
Just
You
it
know, as we
keeps
get
me
older, it's good to be safe when you're out in the dark and,
Keeps
having
me-
the lights.
well lit
Now,
and
now you need
warm at
now
the
you
keyboard.
need is a RGB miter to put on your head.
Ooh.
You could be
Well,
Yeah.
computer royalty.
There you go.
that's pretty neat. I like that.
Kind of
So
flying
that's-
nun going here.
Now, can you
Yeah.
alter the RGB colors? Does it have a controller on it?
Yes, I can.
There you go.
Pray he doesn't alter them any further.
Yeah, it's the Emperor look, but I want a more menacing
Pray I do not
color.
alter the deal.
Well,
We've been expecting you.
Prepare to alter
You had no idea this was going to happen.
Now,
all right.
clear your throat.
Wipe them out. All of them.
I can feel your anger.
Whoa.
Palpatine has so many great lines.
I know he does.
Finish him.
No, I won't. I will
I'm
not.
afraid the deflector shield will be quite operational.
What? Do not be.
Wasn't he only like in his 30s when he filmed the original?
Yeah, he
trilogy?
was quite young
Yeah,
when he did
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
50s. Yeah.
Do it. No. No.
If you've ever experienced the Return of the Jedi NPR radio drama, you'll know exactly where I'm coming from. I cannot remember his
Yep.
name right now, but the actor, because Mark Hamill did not come back for Return of the Jedi. He did the first two on NPR. Whoever played Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi was dreadful. He just did this whiny interpretation, and then the girl doing yeah. No, but hey, John Lithgow was Yoda, so there's that.
That's that.
Joshua Farden.
Joshua Farden, that's right, and Ed Begley, I think, was Jabba the Hutt, or I don't remember who it was. Somebody.
Ed Asner.
Jim,
Ed
you are
Asner.
so
Ed
good.
Asner. Perfect.
It's on Audible too. If you want to part with money for this trash, the first two are good. The first one is actually basically the unedited original script, all the deleted scenes, like the stuff at the Anchorhead, is in. A lot of extra dialogue with Luke and his friends on Tatooine and stuff. A lot of exposition. You understand his relationship with Biggs better. So that's good. And it's got, Anthony Daniels and Mark Hamill. It has Perry King doing a horrible Harrison Ford impression for Han Solo, though, which is not good.
Not good.
But, Return of the Jedi, though, it's comedy gold. I had a lot of fun with that as a kid. Okay.
But in all seriousness, this is a mouse mat from Corsair. It's the MM700.
Right.
It's
slightly over 18 square feet.
I like the full desk
It's
mats. They're nice.
it's 17 and a half square feet, I'll have you know. All right? Don't exaggerate.
What's going on here?
Yes, I can't explain.
Look,
it.
Robbie
What-
Tech,
what would you
listen. This
say?
is after show where we just randomly.
Ranting.
Yes. All right.
Mouse pad so large you can do. It's like a yoga mat. It is. It's a yoga mat for kids.
Hey, and this
small
week,
adults.
Do
I'll be-
Yoda on it.
this week I'll be editing
Yeah.
a video file that is 8.5 gigabytes, whereas last week I was working with a video file that was 600 megabytes.
Oh, well.
So the quality will
Little
be
quality
higher.
difference there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it did allow you to throw the banner at the bottom, to kind of pull in the video a little bit.
Yep. I know.
Which
I thought I
okay.
brainstormed. I'm like, okay, what can I do? I can either blow it up and it'll look really bad, or I can
Yep.
leave it at 720 and put an upper and lower border on it, and then just use that space to put the name of the story we're talking about on it. So I did that.
I thought it
Very
seemed
nice.
like an intelligent choice.
It was like, hey, this was by design, and then people will be sorely disappointed when I don't spend all the time to make all of those title cards this week.
You know what? You can't have everything. There are people who are asking for me to put the timestamps back in too, so I got to remember that when I put it out on Transistor.
Hey, Oscar, neither one or neither one, whichever you prefer. I use DaVinci Resolve. And I don't pay for it. It's just the free version. It does everything I need it to do. And it runs
Nice.
very, very nicely on mid-grade hardware.
Tom's Tech said it looked okay.
Look
Notice
good,
the
in
difference.
fact. Well, yeah. If it's not,
He
too
must have
much
been
of a
sitting.
pain-
He was probably sitting further back.
I enhanced
away
it.
from
I
that.
did a Huawei beauty filter on it.
Was it the Josh style enhance?
Yeah.
Is
Zoom.
that what you did?
Did you make us look like kittens?
Support the developers, man. Well, Oscar, it's free. I don't know what to tell you. They offer it for free. I don't
they-
steal it.
They give
There's
it
a
away.
premium version. There's a lot of other effects. Like if I needed to do like actual effects stuff,
Are you
like,
doing a full length feature film?
yeah, you would need to unlock the premium version for that. Plus,
Yes.
yeah, I'm just doing timeline editing and adding titles here and there, and images.
Oh, for God's sakes, he's editing this. I mean, how much does that take?
But you could do. I mean, you could do keyframes and stuff.
Actually, no.
Do everything you want.
Now we know what it is. He's saying that we look better than HVAC people. 'Cause apparently, he started randomly watching HVAC videos, and yeah, the fact that we look better than some of them, I'm thinking might be true.
HVAC. Right. It's not a cell phone in somebody's basement. That's
Right.
you know.
It's not an advertisement for the next 2-ton AC unit.
The best HVAC videos, obviously UXW Bill. So I don't know what they're watching during his foray into HVAC. All right.
Does your DaVinci and
I get it.
Resolve install take advantage of GPU acceleration?
I don't think so. They're saying that that's in the paid version.
Well, they said really good GPU acceleration.
I don't
wonder if it's
know.
just like
I
you
have
have
no
bad
idea.
GPU acceleration.
I have no idea.
Quit
All I
pushing
know
him.
is-
Quit pushing Sebastian.
All
He
I know
doesn't
is
know.
It works
He doesn't know.
very
Stop
well.
pushing, man.
I tried other stuff, like open source stuff, and yeah, I can
By the
pull
way,
that off.
Sebastian only endorses Sebastian style hair products, and I will never make that
Yeah,
mistake
for the
again.
3 people
Implying-
on Earth who read Brett's notes on PCPro.com for the podcast every week.
Three.
He claims that like I pick stuff when I don't, and so I had
You
to
know-
go in and edit it and say Brett posing as Sebastian picked this.
Yes. Well,
But
I
he
had
was,
it up to
well,
here.
he was
You know,
pick
endorsing some hair product that I don't
it was-
use.
It looked good though. All right. It
I
looked
wasn't
good.
I wasn't using that hair product. So I don't know how you
I
say
know.
it looked good.
Well, the advertisement looked good.
Okay.
And it looked like
there is
something
a
you might
line
use.
of hair products that are called Sebastian. They're the only ones I recommend. They're a little bit more expensive, but you pay for the best. So if you want a thick gel, a glue-like substance that isn't sticky, you
And
need
not
to use
Gorilla Glue.
Right, you need to use the Sebastian stuff. It has the
Well,
best
it may not
hold
be
of any
sticky
I've ever
now,
used.
but once it starts to dry,
You know what? It had the best. I used to spike up my hair when I was like 18, and I bought that stuff because it had my name on it. And it was $16. This is in 1999,
Wow.
2000, somewhere in there. I paid $16 for hair gel,
Wow.
and it was amazing. It did not end up running down my face like every other hair gel I used at the time.
Didn't discolor your frosted tips either.
I had them. I went into a salon
I knew
in the
you
year
would have them.
2000, and I asked them to do
So-
that.
So flock of seagulls of you.
Yeah. At one point, I had the whole thing blonde, which a girlfriend was like, "Oh, let's do this," and like literally like a box dye, and it was a mistake, but I let her do
You
it.
still have the tattoo from that era, or did
I
you
do
kinda
not,
get that removed?
thankfully.
Okay.
I was wearing a
checking.
chain at the time. It was a bad time. It was like Eminem was popular in the white community, and I had white, like I would look like a white boy.
Were you
Doing
wearing
white
your
boy
pants
stuff.
backwards?
was
listening to
not.
Criss Cross?
It was not.
Good.
Yeah.
Jesus.
All right, I got to get out of
Gotta
here,
move on.
guys.
Okay,
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
guy.
We'll talk to you soon.
Good, thanks, guys. Yep. Bye. Signing
Bye.
out. Going offline.